Turn off the ignition. Pull up the handbrake. Pull on the bonnet release lever and open the bonnet. Open the brake fluid reservoir. In order to change the brake discs and pads on your vehicle, you will have to raise the front of the car and take off the wheels. This will provide you with full access to the required area. Loosen the stud bolts on the front wheels and raise the front of the vehicle. Once you have put in the two axle stands, you will then be able to take off the wheels. Don't forget to slide them under the vehicle. We strongly suggest watching the tutorial raising your vehicle safely before carrying out this step. Turn the disc outwards. This will facilitate the process. Insert a flathead screwdriver to the outer extremity of the oblong hole located on the front of the brake caliper. Lift it off using the screwdriver as a lever by pulling it towards you. This will then push the piston in. Ensure that you have pushed the piston in as far as possible before moving on to the next operation. You now have to flip the caliper in order to access the pads. Using a 13mm spanner, unscrew the lower caliper mounting bolt. Sometimes you have to stop the lock nut from turning by holding it with your fingers. Flip the caliper upwards and remove the pads. You can slip them off by pushing them away from the disc. Once off, clean the noise dampening shims using a wire brush. Tip: attach a piece of electrical cable or a piece of string to one of the coils on the suspension spring. Put the caliper back into its initial position. Using a 13mm spanner, take off the upper caliper mounting bolt. Once removed, this should free the caliper. To avoid damaging the brake hose, attach it to the suspension using the cable you have already attached. To unblock the disc, insert a thin flathead screwdriver that can slip in between the two sides of the disc. You have to insert it in front of the brake caliper mount so that it butts up against the latter. Using a 25mm Torx socket, undo the two screws that hold the disc. Withdraw the screwdriver. Using a T-handle, a socket bit, and a 55mm Torx socket, loosen the two holding screws on the brake caliper mount. Do not try to force them with a socket wrench. You risk damaging the socket wrench. Once loosened, continue using the socket wrench to remove the screws and finish the process by hand. You can now remove the brake caliper mount. Finish removing the disc holding screws and take the disc off. Clean the hub with a wire brush and once that is done, coat it with copper grease. This will help avoid deterioration caused by oxidation and aid with future interventions. Before placing the new disc, it is vital to clean it using brake cleaner and paper towels to take off the storage paraffin. If your new disc is painted, you can place it directly onto the wheel hub. Place the new disc onto the hub and rescrew the 2 fastening screws by hand as much as possible. Put the brake caliper mount back on, screwing by hand to begin with, and finish with a socket wrench and a 55mm Torx socket to fix it completely. Reuse the screwdriver technique to stop the rotation of the disc. This will allow you to fully tighten the fastening screws of said disc. Replace the caliper and put it back in place. Start by first screwing the upper caliper mounting bolt, and as always, start the process by hand. To fully fix it in place, use a 13mm spanner and a 50mm spanner to stop the movement of the lock nut. Coat the outside of the new pads with copper grease and slide them into the brake caliper mount. Position the brake springs parallel to the brakes themselves. Then flip the caliper into the initial position. Start screwing the lower caliper screw by hand. Then finish it off with a 13mm spanner. You can now repeat the operation on the other side. Put the wheels of your vehicle back on and lower it to the ground. Before starting your car, don't forget to screw the brake fluid stopper back in. Attention! Before using your vehicle again, start your car and pump the brake pedal a few times to bring the brake pads together again. Try to drive smoothly and avoid sudden braking for the first 50 kilometers or so to avoid immobilizing the new pads. Operation completed.